Hello, friends. This is Dave Hurwitz, executive editor at ClassicsToday.com, here with fabulous concert programs number 123. Oy vey. And we're beginning our cycle of symphonies by Alan Pettersson. How do you put those on a program? Those are dark. They're gloomy. They're angst-filled. They mostly end quietly. I mean, it's really a kind of a chore. And people don't know them, and they probably won't like them if they did know them. Well, I mean, en masse. I think they're masterpieces. I think he was a symphonic genius of the 20th century. I think he was somebody with a powerful and important message, and the music deserves to be heard, or at least endured. And so we're going to come up with 16 programs featuring all 16 symphonies. They vary wildly in length. Some are quite long, some are more than an hour, some are only about 20, 25 minutes. Most of them are in a single movement. So, yeah. And I have a theory. I have a theory behind this cycle. It's going to be my guiding principle behind this entire cycle. And I think it's going to work really well. I really do, for reasons which we will get into shortly. But we begin with Symphony Number 2 because that's really Symphony Number 1. Now, there is a Symphony Number 1. He never finished it. He put it aside and started working on Number 2, which he completed. Number 1 has been, these days, nobody ever doesn't finish anything because someone else will do it. And so Christian Lindbergh kicked some of the sketches into performable shape and recorded Number 1 for Bis. But we're not dealing with it because it's not a completed work of Alan Pettersson. And 15 more of these suckers is more than enough. Believe me. Now, in many respects, Number 2, which is one big long movement, lasts about 39 minutes or so, something like that, is the toughest of all of them because Pettersson began his career studying avant-garde music with people like René Leibowitz, whatever his name was, in Paris, the great Schoenbergian 12-note person. He was never a 12-note person. Not really, but he wrote some early experimental, screechingly dissonant works. And while the Second Symphony does have its more conventionally tonal lyrical passages, a lot of it is extremely fragmented and very dissonant and kind of, well, you might say it sounds kind of atonal. It's not really. And actually, it does what all of his symphonies do, which is rise to extremes of anguish and tension, and then numb silence, and then lyrical islands of hopefulness. And that was his thing. And as the symphonies go on, he learned how to incorporate that into larger and larger structures and to make the contrasting elements more effective and the emotional intensity greater. I mean, that was his symphonic project. And so we have to start at the beginning. And it is a tough piece. And it ends quietly. But like Mahler always used to do, he always insisted that his symphonies go first on a program when they were initially premiered because he believed that new difficult works should be performed at the beginning when the audience is fresh and when they haven't all fled screaming, and when there's other fun stuff to come, which may make them sit through the difficult thing. That really works. It works. I've seen it a couple of times, and I've experienced it a couple of times. For example, when I first heard Michael Dougherty's Metropolis Symphony, which isn't hard to listen to, but it's like 50 minutes long. It's a big, long thing. You don't know what it is. With the American Composers Orchestra, that was first on the program. And it was good that was first because it was the biggest, longest thing. And after that, you could listen to other things that were a little bit less challenging. And so that's what I'm going to do here. So we begin with Pettersson Symphony Number 2, and we just inflict it, that means present it, to the audience, and some will like it, some will not, but it won't be a chore to get through because it works fine when your ears are fresh. It really does. So then we have intermission, and after intermission, the question is, what do you do after Pettersson? Well, I take my my inspiration from a conversation in Gramophone, which I have related many times. They were interviewing Simon Rattle about his Sibelius cycle, and he was pontificating and talking the usual bullshit. And they asked him about tapiola. And he said, well, one can't do tapiola because it's so atmospheric and individual, and it really needs to be by itself on the half of a program, but it's too short and nothing goes with it. It was such bullshit. And someone wrote in to Gramophone like the following month or something and said, it's very curious because Thomas Beecham was one of the great Sibelius champions of the 20th century, and he had no problem putting tapiola on all sorts of programs. And the guy presented a whole bunch of programs, and it was fabulous. It was tapiola with Chabrier's España, and tapiola with, well, I'm taking my cue from Beecham, because Beecham's concept was just shut up and play the music. And that's what we need to do. I don't have to worry about whether things go with other things. I mean, it's just as valid, and in my view, more refreshing, and as often as not, to do something completely different, completely contrasted, in a completely different style, to show people the range of musical opportunities and emotional, different genres and emotional intensities and all of that stuff. So I'm starting with Chabrier's España on the second half. Why not? I think after Pettersson's Second Symphony, people have earned a break. They've earned something that's just bubbly and euphoric and gloriously, scintillatingly orchestrated. It's only 6 minutes long. I mean, it's a wonderful gift to the audience for having sat through not something which is bad or wrong, but difficult, admittedly difficult. So why do we have to pile on the difficulty? Or why do we have to have people's brains constantly working, trying to relate things to other things? Let them just sit back and enjoy España. And after that, let's have a really good soloist play the Saint-Saëns Third Violin Concerto, which doesn't get much of an outing these days. I've only heard it in concert once, but wow, what a gorgeous concerto it is. It's beautiful. It's lots of fun. Saint-Saëns is a composer most people enjoy. It makes a great concert finish. I mean, it's bravura, it's virtuoso. It will have plenty of fireworks going off in the finale. People will be happy to rise to their feet cheering, and maybe even make a demonstration in favor of easy tonal music. I don't care. It works either way. It works perfectly well. So that's how we're going to do Pettersson. We are going to present Pettersson in the way that's best for the audience to appreciate what the music has, but we are not going to agonize over trying to pair it up with other things and make our lives miserable, or sententiously program things that are self-evidently, obviously attempting to be deep and profound or dark or whatever, or saying that listening to Pettersson is such an experience that nothing can come after, or only certain extremely elevated or, like Hindemith's Trauermusik. I mean, who knows? No, we're not doing any of that stuff. We're just going to shut up and play the music. And so I'm going to shut up so that you can listen to the music. Keep on listening, friends. Thanks so much for joining me. Take care.